The member for Bass has the call.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. And my question is to the Treasurer representing the Special Minister of State. Will the Treasurer inform the House what support the government has received for its Senate voting reforms?
The Treasurer representing the Special Minister of State has the call.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. I thank the member for his question. And,
the Treasurer can resume his seat. Member for Dobell is warned. The member for Lilley will cease interjecting. The member for Lilley is warned. I'm going to address some remarks to all members without interjections if members wish to remain in the chamber. The level of noise, as I said, is now too high. It was too high yesterday. When I became Speaker, I said that the parliament should be a robust place. I also said that I'd give a fair go to all, but in return I wanted to see an improvement in the level of discourse. And the Leader of the Opposition at that time made the point it was a good time for all members to reflect on their behaviour, and he is right. There are many members who don't interject, and there's a large number who have not been sent out under 94A. But there are some who've been frequently sent out. I accept, of course, from time to time there'll be reactions and interjections. I'm a realist. But continuing persistent interjections from those who have been continually ejected won't be tolerated, and I want to give fair warning. I'll be taking more severe action, if necessary, which the standing orders allow. The Treasurer has the call.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. I thank the member for the question. 2 days ago in this House, representing the Special Minister of State, I introduced legislation that did something that the member for Brand rightly said would ensure that how an elector marks their ballot paper
for Charlton and
is how that ballot should be counted.
No. The members for Charlton and Gellibrand will remove those props, and they'll remove themselves under 94A. The Treasurer has the call.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. And it was the member for Brand. I'm asked about who has supported this legislation, and the member for Brand has rightly said in this place that it is self-evidently the case that our parliament needs to act on electoral reform, and this parliament is seeking to do that through the bill brought forward by the government, Mr Speaker. He said quite plainly, the member for Brown, that the counting of the ballot paper should reflect the intent of the voter and not the desire of ballot manipulators. That is what the member for Brown and the former Special Minister of State has said, Mr Speaker. And the member for Brand, unlike those opposite more generally, has been entirely consistent on this point. He said in February of this year that these reforms simply mean that the political parties, including his own, will have to convince the public, rather than backroom deal-makers, that they deserve their votes. Now, he's not alone, Mr Speaker. He's not alone because the member for Bruce, who sat on the JSCEM committee, Mr Speaker, with you and did joint press conferences with you in relation to the unanimous recommendations of the JSCEM report, said the government should be acting on these recommendations, and if they're not going to, they need to hurry up because they're running out of time. Now, the National Secretary of the ALP, the current National Secretary, George Wright, said group voting tickets are so blatantly being abused to frustrate the democratic will of electors. Now, you would think with all of that support from head office, from esteemed members of the opposition, from the member for Brand who served as a Special Minister of State, you would think he would have got support in their party room, Mr Speaker. In fact, if you look at what some of them said, like the member for McMahon, he said this in December 2014, I do think the rise of micro-parties and the ability of people to be elected on very, very small preference primary votes through complex
for
preference
McMahon
swaps
is warned.
is something that committee should be very justifiably looking at, and what steps can be taken to ensure that people's votes are properly reflected in their upper house. Well, where was the member for McMahon when this matter was discussed? I understand the member for Isaacs and the member for
Gorton
Batman went to bat for the member for Brand. But those opposite, Mr Speaker, those opposite decided to welch on the JSCEM report, and it's clear, Mr Speaker, that the Labor Party's real principle that your vote is always safer than in their hands rather than your own is alive and well with the spivs that are now running the Labor Party, Mr Speaker. It's the backroom deals done in ski lodges in Thredbo that the member for Wattsman is very familiar with, Mr Speaker. That is the sort of spiv politics that we are seeing from those opposite in this House
Treasurer's time
and in
has
the Senate.
expired. The member